What's going on YouTube? It's Tino here from the YGO process. Just figured I'd bring you guys my Despia list that I took to Nationals. This is kind of what I've been playing throughout the format against Cash Tier and was something that I chose for this season. Didn't end up doing as well as I thought I would do at Nationals, but the list was really good. I played this at Locals. It turned out phenomenal. And I know that a couple of people have seen me play this on the channel, so I figured I'd just go over my list of my card choices and potentially some things that we're going to do moving in post-Dune. But other than that, like I say, I'll get into it and explain everything. This is a 60 card Despia list. I can kind of elaborate a little bit. I know for the national seasons, me and my brother Bradley assumed that there'd be a lot of Runic and a lot of Cash Tier. And instead of going with something a little bit more standard, we decided to be as explosive as we could for the event. So we just wanted as many resources as possible to be able to break through the board, but it worked really well. Like the games that didn't get just shifted and had to make Dragoon go, the deck operated pretty good, so I'll get into it. Of course, the deck plays 3 Fallen of Albaz, standard, and for the Despia monsters, of course, you have 3 Aluber. We played 2 Cartesia in this list, and then 2 Quem. This is kind of the ratio I've been on for a while. I feel like Cartesia could probably be a 3 of. I actually love drawing this card, and after playing the deck a little bit, Quem could more than likely go to 1. I was not comfortable with having this card at 1, especially with it always getting hit off a Rise Heart, and people just outing this because they know how powerful it was, so I played it at 2. But moving forward, I think that card could potentially go to 1. For the other non-engine, I decided to play 2 Mer Carrier. I'll get into other reasons why later in the deck profile and why I had to, but this card operated phenomenally at 2. This card was amazing all weekend when it was at Nationals and just at Locals and testing. And for the other monsters, just the one of Albion Kit. This card's okay. People like this card a lot more than I do. I know like the utility that it's for, but I feel like I cut this card probably for Branded and High Spirits later on. The one Tragedy, the one Ad Libitum, Maximus, and then the Lubellian and Sorinir. We tested this card for the weekend. This card is crazy. Even like though my extra deck is not completely geared around it, having this card just as a power play for Nadir Servant was just insane. And the Light Spellcaster for the Sanctifier Dragon, this card was super clutch every time I resolved it. The last monsters I decided to play moving into the deck, we did play the Patchwork Engine of just 2 of the Edge Imp, 2 Poly, and then 2 of the Patchwork. This was just kind of in theory. I wanted to get back to the deck where you're kind of doing Chimera before you do anything to kind of help break boards. And this card helps keep resources in your hand. Playing like the new Despia list after resolving, you know, Lubellian and a few of the other discard cards, I found myself having a lot less resources in my hand, and like playing the Patchwork Engine just did so much against other decks. Like the pressure you get from Guardian Chimera was so much. So the only other monsters I played in the deck were Dark Magician, of course, and the FTK. And we played 3 Nibiru just as hand traps. We decided to tech this in for the weekend. I don't know if I can really call it a tech, but I figured a lot of people would be playing into it, which they did. I think out of day 1, I probably resolved this card like 6 times, especially game 1. People did not see this coming, and they were like terrified to play around at games like 2 and 3. It made people play awkward, which like helped the deck kind of push for game, go on second. Then we played 3 Fusion, of course, the FTK, 3 Opening. You play 1 of Loss, and then a 1 of Red. I should have played Branded and High Spirit. I just didn't test it enough, but moving forward, I think I'd probably put that card in the deck. Other power play cards is Nadir Servant. This card, Maximus, was just like absurd. I was kind of terrified to play this into like a format where Rise Heart and Shifter were everywhere, but we just figured we'd probably try to make the deck as ignorant as possible, and that required 3 of these, so we ended up playing 3 of that. 3 Fusion Deployment. This card's ridiculous. Again, this was part of the logic of 2 Mer Carrier. We wanted to just see as many cards in our deck as possible, so we played 3 Allure. This card was really good, especially for the hands where you draw like multiple Allubers, or like I said, the Tragedy, the Mer Carrier. Sometimes you're searching the Mer Carrier, then resolving this to get 2 more cards, plus the search is really good. I didn't regret this all weekend. We kind of built this deck to lose to Droll, which is kind of like the concept of people now kind of siding Droll out against this deck because it's not really good. We built this variation just to strictly lose to it. And nobody even kept Droll in against me, so this card is insane all weekend. The updated list, I played 3 Super Poly. At Nationals, this was 3 Eclipse. Eclipse was supposed to be good, but that card was extremely underwhelming, just strictly due to Lance and just other cards in the format. But yeah, we moved this back to 3 Super Poly. I don't necessarily play too many targets for this card, but your deck has enough targets in its regular engine to trade with other people's cards. That made this card just like super powerful. I've been playing this card like again at locals and in testing. This card's just been crazy. 3 Dark Ruler. I will forever main deck this card as long as I'm playing Despia. This card's crazy. And then for other board breakers, you played the 2 Thrusts. Again, gets you to Branded Fusion, going second. Gets you to the Duplication, going first. This card was really good. I didn't regret playing it. And of course the Power 1-ofs. And the only traps are Retribution and Duplication. My list was somewhat inspired by the guy who did really good at German, I believe it was Euros. I think he got top 8 at Euros. And I like the way he built his deck a lot. I just figured I'd say get my deck to 60 and play it like that. And for my extra deck, the Albaz Fusions, we played 2 Mirror Jade, 2 of the Albion, 1 Lubellion, 1 Sanctifier, 1 Titaniclad, and 1 Rimbrum. So these are typically my targets that I'll send off a Maximus, just to kind of like set up a play on my opponent's turn. This will give me Quem in the end phase if I can't get to it. This card is just a Super Poly in your opponent's turn. Or like I said, if I start getting hand trapped by Brick early on, you can send an Albion, but normally in your regular Branded Fusion combo, you don't need to. And normally off of the Nadir Servant, you can send the Garura. This is the card I opted to play because it's a Super Poly target if I draw Super Poly. And whenever you Nadir Servant the card, you can still get a draw out of it. So, like I said, this ratio was like really good all weekend. I don't know if I'd change it moving forward. For the other cards, you get to play the 1 Dust Dragon. This card's crazy. I want to play this card at 2 so bad, but space is just so limited in the extra deck now you can't afford to. The 1 Queritus. I decided to play Masquerade. This card did actually win me a couple games because people don't respect it. And there's like a lot of decks in the format that have to do a lot just to start threatening you. Like I put this card against like Labyrinth. It was like one of my first plays against them. And before he could even attempt to out this, he had to activate like 4 or 5 card effects. And by the time they do that, I'm able to just protect it so it's fine. Against like Flunder, they just lose. So I was like putting this card in just for like the matchups where I felt like I couldn't kill him. And this card was good. Then we played Dragostapelia, Dragoon, and then Chimera. The side deck is completely optional, but for the Nationals event, we chose to go with 3 Droll. We figured a lot of decks wouldn't be respecting this. They weren't. This card was alright, but I mean, you get shifted and it's irrelevant. So, 2 Magnamut and the Druid Swarm for just the mirror match, the random math mech decks. This card also just destroys Rogue. If you draw this card against like Labyrinth, it's really good, especially Magnamut. I got a draw at Nationals just simply because the guy drew 2 of these. Just shows you like how powerful this card is. I couldn't do anything for like 6 turns. Then we play 3 Cosmic because you need some kind of like back row hate. People are boarding in, especially in like the Runic decks. It's good against the field spell, but they're putting in the Ancient Organism decks at Nationals were all side deck and anti-spell. So this card came up. And then 3 of this board breaker. I didn't want to play too many spells, so we decided to go with this card simply because people were playing this card. And this card was just crazy all weekend. Everybody saw this card. So, we didn't want to side deck too many spell cards, simply due to the fact that we knew a lot of people would be doing Eradicator. So we kind of went with this as our board breaker, and Eradicator just as like an FTK going first. I had people, because my deck is geared with so much gas, they would hand trap me. And if I draw a Thrust, I'd immediately just set this, and it would just like hard lose. If I didn't need to set like the Fusion Duplication, then I would just Thrust set this card, still build my board, and I'm hitting you for spells and puppeting you. So this card was crazy all weekend, but again, that's somewhat of the list that I took for Nationals and that I've been playing updated throughout the current format. I figured I'd just give people a profile because I know a couple people can see what the deck can do if it goes uninterrupted, and a few of the combos. I don't know too much would change post-Dune. The whole format should be changing. We know Castro will be a thing. Pearly gets a buff. You're going to be seeing new decks emerge like the Rescue Ace deck and a few of the other combo decks with Revolution Synchron coming out. So there may be some changes, but I still think this deck will be solid for what it does in the format. And this is just what I'm currently playing for now. So I'll keep you guys posted. But other than that, man, thank you for watching and enjoy the process.